My name is Pauline Lockie. I'm a councillor for the Stanmore ward on Inner West Council. I'd also like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the land of the Gadigal people and to recognise their elders, past, present and emerging. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. I'd also like to acknowledge my fellow Inner West councillors who are here to support you in the fight against WestConnex today. Independent Councillor John Stamalos from here in the Balmain ward. And Greens Councillor Margarita de Cruz from the Leichhardt ward. Oh, and Councillor Rochelle Porteous from the Greens for Balmain ward as well. And I'd like to acknowledge and recognise the great support that our MPs, Maureen Faruqi and Jamie Parker, who are speaking today as well, have given to all of our communities in this battle as well. Now, today's rally really couldn't have a more appropriate name, because today, like most days, I am filled with rage against WestConnex. Today, that's because I've spent most of my morning talking to residents in St Peters. Now, St Peters is a suburb that's full of families, young children, young people and older people, just like our suburbs here in Rozelle and Balmain and Birchgrove and Leichhardt and Annandale are. Today, I have been talking to them because, like I have most days, because ever since WestConnex came to St Peters, they have been forced to go through horror after horror after horror because of what WestConnex and Gladys Berejiklian governments are doing to them. Today, that horror is about the toxic dust that is escaping from the WestConnex construction site that is being built in their suburb. I'm talking about the monstrous spaghetti interchange that is being built in St Peters right now. Now, I've been speaking to residents today who are suffering from severe asthma, from respiratory illnesses, from conjunctivitis and other eye infections because of that dust that is escaping and that WestConnex is failing to control. I've been talking to people who can no longer open their doors and windows at home because they get more dust than fresh air coming in. I've been talking to people who can't even turn on the air conditioning in their cars anymore because their vents are now so full of this toxic dust just from being parked out in their local streets. And this is not just happening in St Peters. It is happening in every suburb in Sydney that has been forced to cop one of these toxic WestConnex construction sites, just so Gladys Berejiklian and co can sell us out to their toll road and corporate donor mates. Now, I've been on Inner West Council for only just over 6 months, and in that time, I've already had to bring multiple motions to Council to force action on the terrible night works and construction impacts and the dust and noise pollution that residents are having to endure in places like St Peters and Haberfield and Ashfield every day and every night. And make no mistake, if WestConnex get approval to build Stage 3 and Stage 4 of their toxic tollway, we're going to see all of these impacts right here and on our North Shore suburbs as well. And if they do approve it, you're going to hear the same lies that we heard when the WestConnex M4 East and new M5 was shamefully rubber-stamped by the Department of Planning and Gladys Berejiklian government. You are going to hear about how supposedly tough planning conditions will protect you from the worst of the construction impacts. But tell that to the people in St Peters and Haberfield and Ashfield who are living with this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as I speak. You will hear lies about how the conditions will somehow magically improve the quality of the air that you're breathing, even as WestConnex dumps thousands of extra cars right onto your local streets and builds toxic pollution stacks next to your homes, your children's schools and your workplaces. And you'll no doubt hear the biggest lie of all, that WestConnex will somehow cure Sydney's crippling traffic congestion. But tell that to the thousands of people in Western Sydney who have now been forced back onto Parramatta Road because they cannot afford the crippling WestConnex M4 tolls. So it's easy to feel rage against WestConnex. And the fact that you're all here today shows that you're ready to take that a step further and really fight this, and I can't thank you enough for that. Because we've got to make WestConnex Stage 3 the line in the sand. The line at which we say to Gladys Berejiklian's government that enough is enough. No more destruction of our communities. No more robbery of our parks and our open spaces. And no more selling out our city to their toll road mates. And we have to do one of the most powerful things you and I can do over the next year, because we're heading into election season at both state and federal level. So I want you to take a moment to look around and see which politicians and which political parties are actually here standing shoulder to shoulder with you today and every other day, prepared to fight this. Because it's not enough to just say that you're opposed to it. You have to actually do it. And I want everybody here to remember that when they go into the ballot boxes. I will stand with you every day to fight WestConnex and oppose what it is doing to our city. I know that everybody who is here today will do exactly the same thing. And I know together we can stop WestConnex. Thank you.